Hi, and welcome back to Continual Fandom. It is that time of year where we are playing with our favorite films and TV shows all about the holidays. Because, I mean, who knows what the hell is scarier than sitting down with the family at Thanksgiving? But before we get started into some of those favorite films and TV shows, let's go around and see who has decided to contribute to the delinquency at the table. So, Kelley, you are up first.
Hey guys, my name is Kelley M. Frank. I also go by Morbid Smile Art. I write horror and dark poetry and do a bunch of spooky art, obviously.
Alledria?
Alledria Hurt, horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and I just have one of those pinch ants for really bad horror movies.
Derek?
Hi, I'm Derek Austin Johnson. I'm a horror writer. I used to be the film critic for SF Signal. I used to have a film column over at SF Site.
Lucienne?
I'm Lucienne LeBeau, and I am the author of Project Nowhere, the Silver Hollow trilogy, and a couple of other short stories.
Bobby?
Hi, I'm Bobby Ansh. I write all kinds of crap. I do a lot of crime fiction, but I also dabble in some horror, some sci-fi. So a lot of fun. I like to kill people.
Hansi?
Hi, I'm Hansi Oppenheimer at Squeak Projects. I'm a filmmaker and an independent scholar of fan studies. And I've been documenting fandom and fan practices for 20 years.
Wayland?
I write under the name Wayland Smith, unless you really hate this panel, and then my name is Jim Butcher. Knows I do the joke. I call myself a multi-genre. I used to call myself a multi-genre author, but I switched that to pan-authorial because it gets more laughs. And some of my short story sales have been in horror. And this week I turned in my first short story holiday-themed romance. So we'll see if that goes anywhere.
Love is in the air. Tim?
I'm Tim Waggoner. Mostly write horror and dark fantasy and media tie-ins. Published 50 novels, won the Bram Stoker Award a few times, and I teach creative writing at Sinclair Community College in Dayton, Ohio.
So, Kelley, let's actually start because we're in that time of year. Halloween. What is your favorite Halloween horror movie?
My God, that is a hard question.
I know this is like what's your favorite work? You know, who's your favorite kid?
This is my child. So I am gonna give it's probably a toss-up between Trick or Treat, just because that one is always good, and I like anthology movies. Those are always fun. And the other one is probably going to be like the classic Michael Myers Halloween, just because that's a nice, you got to watch that every year just because you must.
Alledria?
I got a second Michael Myers. It's like Halloween, just people with the masks. And then of course there is Trick or Treat was a good one. I'm trying to remember what the third one was that was stuck on it. Pass me, I'll come back to it.
Derek?
I'm going to sound like a broken record if I, and I always feel a little bit bad saying, well, Halloween, obviously, because that's just such an obvious pick. Now, I am going to still recommend a Michael Myers movie, but it is going to be the 2018 Halloween, which I think actually has a few more chops than a lot of people would actually give it credit for something that is going to be completely on the opposite end of that spectrum. For me, Halloween really isn't Halloween unless I watch It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
That one's terrifying. That's just terrifying.
Isn't it though? Isn't it? With the Great Pumpkin finally coming up, and but for me, those are really kind of one of them's just kind of a recent favorite. The other one's just going to be lifelong.
Lucienne?
The 1978 Halloween. First saw that when I was 10. I decided that Michael Myers was going to be my boyfriend. And so that should tell you a little bit about me.
You saw the red flags and
I
were
was like-
attracted by the red
was like,
flags.
you
To
won't
be
let
fair,
me
he
go,
is
and I like
persistent
that.
in chasing the
that.
woman he loves.
I need that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I need that consistency. And then every year in our family, the Nightmare Before Christmas is what we consider our Halloween through Christmas film.
Yep. Same here. We watched that like probably
Yeah.
November 1st. That's like the transition movie.
Bobby?
I guess I have to echo the Halloween, when I think of movies set at Halloween, that's usually the first one that comes to mind. I do like to watch a lot of Halloween themed TV shows, but I guess we'll come back around to that. But
Hansi?
Well, definitely Trick or Treat. I think it's a brilliant anthology. I like some of the classics like Hocus Pocus. That's something I always want to watch around Halloween time, and I'm trying to get my grandson to watch it because he thinks it might be inappropriate. God, kids these days. I don't understand. I'm trying to show you horror movies and you're like bugging me to be an appropriate brand person. What's wrong with you?
That's right. Listen, I'm the adult here. I'll tell you what's inappropriate.
Really, just like enjoy getting away with something. Let's watch. But yeah, I don't know if Monster Squad is technically a Halloween movie, but that's sort of in the but there's a lot of movies that maybe aren't set on Halloween, but that I watched, like, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. That one's a classic. You always have to watch around the holidays.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Trick or Treat, though.
It's a great film.
It really is.
Yeah, we literally have our to watch Halloween stack over here, like beside on the coffee table, and that is like we must go through it. I did forget to mention one that I watch every year, and that's Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo, because it is amazing. It has the Scarecrow in it. It is great. Evil pumpkins. I love that.
I was watching some crazy movie today about Jack and he was fighting an army of scarecrows, Jack-o'-lantern. It was some, subpar like level C.
Oh yeah.
Horror crap. But it was like cool.
Yeah.
All right. So Wayland?
I'm going to be completely unoriginal, actually, because everything I was going to mention is already up. But Nightmare Before Christmas, absolutely. The first Halloween was so classic on so many levels. And yeah, The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Because you got to watch that.
All right, Tim.
Well, I should pick Halloween Kills. I wrote the novelization for that thing. I'm not,
Nice
I don't-
plug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
beautiful.
was just thinking I should like that one better than the others, but
I actually
Um,
really liked that one.
did you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
in here.
enjoy
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, the original Halloween, I think it was 14, and back then, there was we didn't have any cable in my little country town and no VCRs yet or anything. So any kind of horror movie that was intense was either not shown on TV or chopped up. And so when I saw that in the theater with my sister's boyfriend, he and I went, and I was terrified for the first like 15 minutes until he started laughing at everybody's reactions. And I was like, oh my God, I understand this now. And I had the best time during that showing. So I have to pick that just for that reason. And I haven't seen it for a while, but the animated version of Bradbury's Halloween Tree is pretty
Ooh.
cool.
I'd like to see that.
See, I have to admit, I have 3 movies I have to watch this time of year every time. Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2,
Oh,
Mhm.
and Army of Darkness. You gotta put all 3 of them together.
Yeah.
yes. This is a boomstick.
This is my boomstick.
Hey,
Yeah.
shop smart, shop S smart.
Although they're
Mm.
technically not Halloween movies, but
They're
they
not?
definitely.
Yeah. But they're
But-
perfect for the season.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are.
So I was just trying to figure out,
Yeah,
are we talking
but
about
yeah,
movies
absolutely.
that are just
Oh yeah,
Based
I
on
know.
Hallmark.
Because Evil Dead is on in my house like perpetually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to watch this again. I've watched it like 48 times in a month, and I'm like, I'll watch it twice today. I just love that movie.
Like cosplay Ash. So I'm always watching it so I can get the speeches down. I was in the Dragon Con parade as Ash.
Oh,
I
Oh,
kept
that's fantastic.
using my group because I kept running up to people who are doing the whole, listen, you primitive screwheads. This is my, and then I'd see like the Ghostbusters crew were coming up on me and I'd have to like run up to my
that is
See,
beautiful.
this is the nice part about being the moderator. I can break all the rules I feel like. So, Alledria,
Yes.
since we brought it up, what's your favorite Halloween TV show or episode or whatever along those lines?
And of course, as soon as you call my name, my brain goes blank. It's got, I want to say it was an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer that I watched when I was like, was I even a teen at the time? I'm not sure.
They had great Halloween episodes every year on that show. They were always really well
As you
done.
would expect.
The silent one was still my favorite.
Oh, Hush. Yeah, Hush is
Hush.
brilliant.
Thank you. I could not remember the name as I was trying to.
The Gentleman. I actually have the action figures of The Gentleman. I always wanted to cosplay the guys. They're like assisting the guys behind them with the straight jackets and the chains. But I'm like, how do you like?
And I'm sorry, I am totally distracted by the fact that I have a small,
you
I
have
have
a
a
kitty.
fuzzy animal.
Oh,
We have a kitty.
Oh,
Yeah, he decided that because I was talking, and obviously I must be talking to him. He's
You brought in your familiar. We know. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
he's perfect. Look at him.
So Derek, how about you? What's that favorite TV show during the holidays?
Well, okay. So I assume we're just talking about a series TV show, and again,
Make it
everybody else,
light on yourself.
now everybody else is doing it, and I just want to be popular. So, in that regard, I'm gonna mention it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer again, but it's the 4th season.
Fear itself.
Yes, where where Anya is wearing the bunny costume. You have Tony Head wielding a chainsaw. I mean, what's not to love about any of that?
And don't taunt the demon. Why?
Mhm.
Because because it's tacky.
Lucienne, how about you?
Well, I don't actually watch a lot of television, but there is one called Channel Zero, the 2nd season and it was No End House, and it was a haunted mansion where when you enter, there's basically no way out and you have to face your worst fears, and just
so it's Hotel California.
brilliantly done. Yes, but like horrific style, like just beautiful, like there's beautiful visuals in the show, and they just did so well. There's so many themes of loss and pain and being stuck and not being able to get out, and it has an absolutely, the camera work is so good, it has this claustrophobic feeling, and it's just, you're at the edge of your seat the entire season.
Bobby, how about you?
A couple of years ago, I decided to do at Halloween, do a marathon through all the streaming, go find old shows that had Halloween episodes. And I'll second the Buffy episodes, but 2 that stood out for me as being really great. There's a Married with Children episode that takes place on Halloween that's hilarious. But my favorite of the bunch is the Quantum Leap Halloween episode.
That's what I was going to say. Dang it.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
And that one, I won't give away the spoil, but of who the villain is. It was such a surprise to me when it's revealed what's going on and how it's happening. And then to go back, makes you want to go back and watch it again to find all those clues. But it is such a well done episode that it stands out for me. So I have to
They
watch that
actually
every
did
year.
3. Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the one where he leaps into the writer,
Okay.
the horror
Of course,
writer.
you guys would love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But finding out at the end who the villain is and why this leap happened, I thought was just a smart change of pace for them, because they had set up that it's, God leaping him to solve all these problems. And you would have to think that somewhere out there, someone doesn't like that. And this episode really kind of addresses that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hansi?
Well, Bob's Burgers always does amazing Halloween episodes. Like, I just want to steal all the kids' costumes. They are just the best. Like, the dragon with the girl tattoo. And Louise does that. Or she did Pan's Labyrinth. She's dressed as Peter Pan and she has the eyes on her hands. And her parents are like, stop doing that. You're freaking us out. And I just think those are so. There was a girl at New York Comic Con last year that did the sandwich. She was dressed as Tina and she had the 2 bread and the hat. So those I think are brilliant. But yeah, I mean, I love themed episodes, like in any show I'm watching. Those are always really fun.
Nice.
Wayland?
Well, I was definitely going to say that Quantum Leap episode of The Boogeyman, which is, I believe, what he was talking about, because it was just a fantastic episode with so many great little nods in it as they went on. And not directly Halloween themed per se, but if you want a really good view of some really well done horror stuff, the entire run of Constantine was just phenomenally well done. Great effects, great stories. So sad that it didn't last longer.
And David Goyer, for God's sakes. I mean, it's you have and for years I was, do a decent Hellblazer, make Constantine look like what he's supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then they canceled it, which I don't understand, because the character was so popular. He's was on how many other shows?
Yeah, he popped up throughout the whole rest of the Arrowverse pretty much.
Yeah. It's so sad, because, and the movie, although the movie, it's just Keanu Reeves just cannot play a jaded British drug addict who practiced with black magic.
Tim, how about you? What's that favorite Halloween TV episode?
I was going to mention the Quantum Leap one too, but Treehouse of Terror on The Simpsons. I mean, they do it every
Absolutely.
year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the
those
thing
are
about
always great.
TV shows and movies about writers that always annoys me is because it's like the audience has to believe a writer has an adventure and then they just write nonfiction about it. They don't understand that you can make something up. I know that would make a really boring episode of a TV show, watching somebody type for half an hour, but I'm just seriously?
Wait, are you telling me you don't solve 23 murders a year?
Yeah,
Nope.
really?
Nope, I do not.
Was there
I mean-
an episode of Kolchak that was a Halloween episode?
Not that I remember.
I don't
Actually,
remember.
Specifically, was there?
I don't remember if there was specifically or not, but there would have been during those days.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, Bobby, I'm really disappointed because I actually expected to see that you were going to have the next reality TV show of following Bobby around about solving murders.
Yeah, that would be very boring. Follow Bobby as he walks over there, walks over there, as he hits his head against the wall over there, and as he cries in that corner. Yeah. Must see TV, let me tell you.
And
Subscribe to his
Philip
Patreon
Marlowe was
channel.
just shaking his head in pity.
Yeah.
So,
Kelly, how
And,
about you?
and occasionally
Oh.
you would have the guest stars be the bill collectors who knock on the door.
Mm,
Or
Yes,
the
good.
editors knocking on the door going, "Where's my work?"
See?
yeah, but
You
see,
give
the
up.
editors are much scarier. They come with red pens.
That's true.
somebody call Quinn Martin. We've got gold here.
Mhm.
So,
Kelly?
Uh,
Oh,
yeah.
so Kelly, how about you? What's that favorite Halloween TV episode?
So I am a child of the 80s and 90s. So I have dumb cartoon ones that I really enjoy. I already mentioned I love Scooby-Doo. So I really like Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. And there is a episode called The Shrieking Madness. and it basically they're helping H.P. Lovecraft, who in this is H.P. Hatecraft, and they're helping him try to avoid Cthulhu from being summoned. And it is absolutely hilarious. And I watch that every year. And the other two that I watch are both from the real Ghostbusters cartoon. One is called No One Comes to Lupusville, and it's about a town that has vampires and werewolves that live in it that are constantly biting each other and exchanging the curse back and forth. And it is just as funny as you would expect. And the other one is Mrs. Rogers' Neighborhood, where they get trapped in a haunted house. Mrs. Rogers is actually a demon that looks like a kindly old lady. So it's
Nice.
That's my Halloween trifecta of goofy horror cartoons.
Alledria, did you decide on something?
No.
Nope. All right. Well, I'm going to throw one of those controversial ones out there. Though much of it is very dated these days, it's always fun just to see the look on Paul Lynde's face for his one and only Halloween special, where Kiss got to have their first TV appearance.
Was that the Kiss in the amusement park one when they had superpowers?
No, it's the Paul. Go look up the Paul Lynde holiday special with
yeah,
Witchy
yeah.
Poo. I accidentally stumbled across it again the other day. I drag it out about once every few years. So let's start moving.
Accidentally.
Yeah, well, you know, writer trying to avoid writing.
Okay, I hit
that
my
really
sister
wasn't-
the other day with the worst witch, the song that, if you remember that, where anything can happen on Halloween. Oh yeah, you gotta go check like that Tim Curry just dancing in the sky is just hilarious.
Oh, I have seen that. It's going around on TikTok.
It's so good.
And
It's
he's
so
like, in
good.
the cape sometimes, and it's so cheesy. It's great.
Yes.
So now we're going to move forward. We're rolling the clock towards killing turkeys.
Yes.
So Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving time, as the case may be, let's start hitting on a few of those favorite episodes. From a TV standpoint, what's that favorite horrific Thanksgiving episode? Derek, I'm gonna hit up on you for this one first.
Boy, I am really going to get some side-eyed glances with this one. But there is a very bad cheapie that we came across a couple of years ago called Thanksgiving,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
where you have a maniacal turkey with a hatchet killing people in a cabin. And it is one of the worst things you're ever going to watch. And at the same time, it is the greatest thing ever. So,
I own it. I hate to
yeah.
admit, I own it.
And I feel a lot less alone now because, oh my God, is that awful and sublime.
Lucienne?
Well, it kind of crosses over into I'm a huge fan of dinner parties gone wrong. So I love, but not comedic, horrific. There's got to be decapitations,
Like
people losing
being the-
limbs. I'm not happy that
host?
people are screaming. So,
Hannibal.
Yeah.
On your latest episode of Cops.
But for television shows, not so much, but there's a film called Pilgrim that I really hit on that. Let's reenact the first Thanksgiving.
Lucienne, that was going to be my second choice.
Oh,
But for the life of me, I couldn't quite get it into my head to go, yes, that one. So
yeah.
Bobby?
Well, every year, it's such a widely popular thing to watch the WKRP episode.
That's the
Nothing
one
else.
I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, if nothing else, for the
So
last
good.
10 minutes, which is absolutely hilarious. One of the best punchlines in TV history.
The reporting.
Yes,
As God is my witness.
yeah.
I thought
But you know what?
turkeys-
As funny as that line is too, there's another great one in there where they're asking Les what happened, and he's explaining it. And at one point he goes, and he's explained all this, and he goes, "Things get pretty weird at that point." And and he doesn't elaborate, so you're left to like fill in the but just a hilariously well written episode. There's also when Lucienne mentioned the dinner party, there was a short-lived comedy called Titus with Christopher Titus.
Yes.
And there is just a scene in an episode where they're talking about the problem, his mother and her mental issues, where she shoots the turkey one year at Thanksgiving because it was giving her dirty looks. And that sticks with me every time I think about Thanksgiving episodes, is her like blasting away at this turkey.
Hansi?
Well, definitely, I was thinking of the WKRP thing. Like, the turkeys, they're not flying. Oh, the horror.
It's just in Pinedale shopping mall bombed by live turkeys.
It's so good. Would you consider Poultrygeist a
Yes.
Thanksgiving movie?
Yes.
That's kind of fun.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. So
In
I'll
fact,
go with that and Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and if you want to go with Poultrygeist, we just dropped the show about trauma, and we actually had one of the actors from Poultrygeist.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
I got to pet the big dick. Sorry, that's my F word. There we go. They have the huge prop in the cellar at Troma, and I had to touch it, and it was all sticky, and I'm just like, oh God, why is my hand sticky? Why is my hand sticky? And it's like, oh, it's just stage blood. I'm just like,
This just keeps getting worse.
Things got really weird after
that.
I think that may be the title for this show. Wayland.
Hey, my choice actually survived this time. I'm actually going to go with Adam's Family Values.
Yeah.
And that wonderful
Oh,
speech
good.
Wednesday gives,
Yes.
especially looking at it through the native lens like I tend to. That
Yes,
was
that-
just so wonderfully well done.
that is
Beautiful, yes.
fantastic.
I listened to a lot of music by a group called The Tribe Called Red, and they've mixed in
Yes.
her speech in one of their pieces, and it's beautifully well done.
Yeah.
I just love seeing that scene where she flicks the match.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's like, wait.
Perfect.
Tim, how about you? What's that favorite Thanksgiving?
All the ones people talked about already. That's the bad part. I've been a W all my life. I'm always at the end of the alphabet, so and always at the end of the line for these things. But I remember when watching live when the WKRP episode came out, and it's hard
Yes.
to it would be so hard to explain to people because first of all, they wouldn't do an episode where all these turkeys, even off camera, died. People would just be horrified by it, but it was the horror and the humor combined. It was like people talk about how the fine line between them, but I don't know if I've ever seen a finer example than that scene at the end of that episode. I don't think I've ever laughed so hard in my life either.
That was really well done.
I think, and that's the power too of the writers,
Yeah.
because the words have to sell it because we don't get the visuals.
Right.
And so the actors and the writers have to really are selling it with just people telling the story.
Yeah, and if you were watching the turkeys fall from the helicopter, it would not be the comedic genius. It's that you have to visualize it. And that character of Les Nessman going through and being that narrator,
Mhm.
that particular story, he is the only person that could tell that and carry the level of horror and walk that line so finely.
Mhm.
Well, that and Howard Hessman's Johnny Fever delivery scenes back in the studio.
Mhm.
Les, are you there? Are you there? He's not there.
Yeah, these
There's
days
also-
they deal with a bunch of CGI or something and ruin it.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they couldn't have even possibly done that given the budget of the TV show. Probably, that was another reason why they probably went ahead and just did it with your dialogue.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because they
In-
probably couldn't have
In
afforded
live
the
action,
helicopter.
It
Yeah.
wouldn't work. But look at the Bob's Burgers, where they they let the turkeys go and they mix them with all the different other birds. And so they're like, oh, we cancel Thanksgiving, so that's why the birds are after. And they're like, no, it's biology. And they're like, they're supposed to be running with the turkeys. Has anybody seen this?
Well, and there are of course some fun South Park episodes from the early days with the
Oh,
turkeys
yeah.
that are just So Kelly, how about you? What's that Thanksgiving tale that
Well, Adam's Family Values is definitely ours. We watch that every year because we are kind of a protest family for Thanksgiving. We cook, but we are like Thanksgiving. But we do watch. There is a Batman the Animated Series. I'm gonna do this every time. There's a Batman the Animated Series episode called Fear of Victory, where Scarecrow is sabotaging a giant football game, and that is very entertaining. And we have all as a family decided that we're also gonna roll the new movie Prey in for Thanksgiving, where the predator is
That was great.
fighting the native peoples, and it's
So good.
it's great. So we were like, yeah, we're gonna roll all this. We're gonna roll that one in. That's gonna get back in there, right, with Adam's Family Values and stuff. So you see our theme at our house.
well, there are some headless people and they are going to get roasted.
Mhm.
So Alledria, Thanksgiving.
Well, of course, Adam's Family Values is the best, the absolute best. And of course, but I also I can't think of an episode, but there's a movie I saw on Netflix not too long ago that had a dinner party in it that's called The Invitation.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yes.
And I was like, this has got to be this has got to be like a Thanksgiving dinner party here, because this is like, it's Friendsgiving, but it's literally it's a death cult. It's a death pact, and I'm just like, this is fantastic.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like I was thinking when I was watching that at a press screening that it was like a Dennis Etchison story where everything looks completely normal, but there's this mounting sense of dread and unease. I absolutely love that.
So now let's move into the really fun, horrific time of year. And I'm gonna take the first horrific holiday show off the table. I'm not going to make anyone react to it at all. And that, of course, is the favored Star Wars Life Day special. But
It's a Boba Fett, though.
Yes, it is. And that is the high point. But what about your favorite take on Ebenezer Scrooge? And Lucienne, you're up first for this one.
George C. Scott, but also I just need to mention Scrooged.
Yeah.
The film Scrooge, just every year we watch that movie, and it's delightful. So George C. Scott for my classic, very somber, serious rendition, and then Bill Murray's in Scrooged is just comedic genius.
Yeah.
Bobby.
I second that. I would also add the animated version, that especially when you got to the Ghosts of Christmas Future. As a kid, that scared the hell out of me. It is so well done.
Yeah.
So yeah, those three would be mine. Yeah.
Hansi?
Let's see. Well, Bell Book and Candle is something I always watch around Christmas. I consider it a Christmas movie. There's so many good horror, like I was saying before, like Krampus. I love.
We'll get to those. We're only on your favorite take of the Dickens story.
Oh, Scrooged. Right. Honestly, who was in the original, like Alistair or something? Who's in like the 1930s one?
That's a really good one, and I just saw that last Christmas. Which one?
Yeah, that would probably be the only one.
Albert Finney, maybe something like that.
No,
I think it was earlier.
No, it's earlier than that. It's Alistair. I'm trying to remember because we did a long show just talking about the versions of A Christmas Carol last year.
But Scrooge, yes. I think is brilliant.
Reginald Owen for the 1938. Yeah.
There was one. Now I'm trying to remember. Basil Rathbone, I think there was.
I love him.
That was one.
He was a great
Oh.
Sherlock too.
Yep.
Yes.
So Wayland, how about you?
I
What
am
is-
actually going to go with the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Ah,
Oh, very
I was
nice.
gonna-
Because it was
That's a
fun and the
good
music was great, and they did some really cool little effects with the puppets.
What happened to the Ebenezer thing?
That is Ebenezer.
yes.
Michael Caine is Ebenezer
Oh,
Scrooge.
you're right. You're right.
Mhm.
Okay, gotcha.
Michael Caine
Yeah,
did a great job.
right.
Tim?
Yeah, I was going to say that too, but I remember watching it the first time in the theater, and I was just blown away by how good Michael Caine was. I mean, he's around all these
Right.
damn puppets, and the set is going to be full of hilarity and everything, and he just is the one of the best Ebenezer Scrooges I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Kelly?
I'm gonna say Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Oh,
Because
Okay.
we always watch that. And it's so good. I'm just a fan of like the animation and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a lot of fun. That one just gets it doesn't make it too dark. And so I can watch it with like my nephew and my niece, but we always still enjoy it. And so yeah, we watch that every year.
Yeah, it's hard to be scary with Mickey's voice talking to Mr. Scrooge.
mhm, mhm.
So
I don't
I
know.
forgot one. I forgot about the Blackadder Christmas Carol.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
where
love that
the angel comes to Blackadder because Ebenezer Blackadder or whatever. He's like the nicest, kindest man in London, and he shows him the future. And basically, far in the future, the entire galaxy collapses because his descendants are nice. So he decides to become a real bastard to save everything. So it's like the absolute opposite of the Christmas Carol. Love that one.
I love Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
Yes. Alledria.
I've only the only one that I can remember clearly is Scrooged, which tells me that it actually made an impression on me because I've literally physically read The Christmas Carol, but I can't remember having seen it that many times.
Mhm.
I
No, I
Oh,
think
you want
that-
another good one?
yeah.
Does anyone else remember the really ancient Mr. Magoo Christmas Carol?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
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 Oh,
Hey,
my
They actually
God.
did some pretty good things on that
Yeah.
one, considering how goofy that cartoon usually was.
My dad insists on us watching that every year. That is his favorite version.
Mhm.
And he loves it. And then the songs will be in my head for like months afterwards. So thank you for that residual memory. It's gonna be coming back again.
We
There
are
was a-
talking
there
about
That was a
was a-
specialty.
Version
It
with
is.
Henry
It's really
Winkler
good.
that was like called an American Christmas Carol.
Mhm.
It was set like in the 1920s, maybe, and I think the ghosts were just like people he knew, or they looked like people he knew. But I thought that was really interesting. I like that for a different interpretation of it.
You know
Well,
what?
Patrick Stewart did a really good version of
Mhm.
I
Ebenezer
can see
Scrooge as
that.
well. Yeah.
They did a spin on that also on WKRP in Cincinnati.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah, Carlson had the trip because of Johnny Fever's brownies.
Hmm.
Oh. Oh my God.
So Derek, what's your favorite take?
Okay, this is going to be a bit of a stretch, so just stick with me.
I'm ready.
All right, this is from the mid 1980s. It was a television movie. It starred Dave Thomas, who is having this odd, he's having this ennui, and he finds himself transported back to the 1860s, where Bronson Pinchot is playing Charles Dickens in the middle of Christmas. And if memory serves, Thomas is trying to insist that Dickens write the Christmas Carol so that he can actually find this joy again. So yeah, it's kind of a cheat, but for some reason I remember Dickens going into a Walden Books in the mid 80s, seeing all of his books, and he starts grabbing them and shoving them in his bag so he can take them back.
I'll allow it because that's horrific in and of itself. Balky.
There are also a couple of pretty good Doctor Who ones.
Oh, absolutely.
Christmas
They always,
Invasion and
Yeah,
the Next
definitely.
Doctor especially.
I love their Christmas ones. They're always really touching.
So let's go there next. So from a television episode standpoint, what is that favorite Christmas horror, that Christmas scare that you watch and always love to wait and see? I mean, we've got a lot of shows like Doctor Who. You're always waiting for that Christmas special. That's a gift you've got to unwrap. But Bobby, I'm going to start with you on this one. What is that favorite holiday, Christmas, that time of year? One you got to catch.
There's several episodes of shows, especially older shows, around the Christmas time, at least once in their run, do a version of It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
And it is, I am always fascinated to see how different shows with their characters incorporate that plot line. And there are some that do it well. There are some that do it not so well. But yeah, so the just taking that trope of It's a Wonderful Life and the movie, I mean, because that's really, everybody just kind of remembers the whole, the upbeat ending to that. But that's really a pretty dark
Clarence.
movie.
It is.
Yeah, it's
It
pretty
really
a pretty
is.
dark movie up until
It's
until
really
the-
dark. Pottersville is
Good
really
movie.
dark.
Yeah, and so seeing other shows, insert their characters into that plot is always fascinating. So I try to watch a few of those every year just to kind of see. And I know Kelley mentioned Batman the Animated Series. There's a great episode called Christmas with the Joker.
Mhm.
It's not a
Yes.
Wonderful Life plot,
Oh, I was gonna say that.
but there's a bit where he's like, Robin is trying to get Bruce to watch it,
Yes.
and he's like, I can't get past the title.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yep.
And then it's such the most Batman thing he could say.
Mhm.
So yeah, I love, it's good stuff.
One of my most favorite interpretations of that, just to stir up some mess and trouble, is still the version of that they did on Married with Children, where you
Mhm.
had Sam Kinison trying to get his wings.
Oh my God.
Oh,
yes.
now I remember that episode.
So
that
good.
was hilarious.
And the fact
Right, yeah.
that Al doesn't change, but he's like, look at them, they're happy. After all the crap they've put me through, do you think I'm going to let them be happy? I want to live. And it's just such a perfect, yeah.
Hansi, how about you?
What are we holiday
TV.
episodes?
Holiday episodes from TV. We'll
Um,
be coming back to movies, I promise.
okay. I mean, I go back to all the old stuff, like Mary Tyler Moore. There's always like some Christmas ones in there, and those shows, all the Me TV and those kind of things. I can't think of any, I mean, except for the shows that I regularly watch, that like Doctor Who. I mean, the Capaldi one was pretty great. The Capaldi Christmas one with Nick Frost.
Mhm.
That was so touching.
Yeah.
Wayland?
Oh boy, there've been a bunch. I had one. Let me go back and look what I was just looking at because oh, you know what? There was a really good one an older show. There was a really good Night Court episode that did a spin-off on It's a Wonderful Life about what the court would have been like without Harry.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really well done.
Mhm.
I really did enjoy that show when that was around.
Me too. I liked
So
him.
good.
And there was, if I'm remembering right, I think there was even a Mork and Mindy variation on that same story.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I remember.
And then just
Yeah.
Christmas episodes in general. I think all of the I think it gets underrated. I think it gets underrated for its storytelling, but I think all the NCIS Christmas episodes have been pretty good.
Tim, how about you?
Well, when I was a kid, I was fascinated by the Flintstones Christmas special because I was like, wait a minute. So that I've heard the fan theory that the Flintstones is really the post-apocalyptic world beneath the Jetsons who are up there. So maybe that's the reason why. But the other thing I was fascinated by, like any kind of monster type show that would have Christmas. So like Christmas on the Munsters or with the Addams Family, because I would be like, now wait a minute, you're the guys that run from crosses and stuff. And what are you doing with a religious holiday? So I always found that kind of, just sort of atonal in a weird way. Fun, but it's kind of made me question it.
Didn't Buffy use some pretty good Christmas episodes as well?
Mhm.
They
With the
did,
monster.
yeah.
Kelley, how about you?
I mean, I'm gonna give you guys a really weird one. We every year I always have to watch the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special
Nice.
because
I
there
didn't
is
know that
some
was a thing.
hilarity just some hilarity. There's like a terrible musical number. There's Skeletor trying to help kids when he doesn't want to. I don't want to be good. I want to be evil. And it's just kids teaching them about Christmas. And he's like, but why? And it's just it's so good. And
now I gotta find that.
So yes, you should definitely find it. And it's hilarious.
Alledria?
Twilight Zone.
Always.
Yes.
Mhm.
New
Yes.
Year's. New
Win.
Year's.
Yes.
It's the
Twilight
marathon.
Zone. I
Yep.
don't. There are so many episodes that I've seen, like all of them at some point. So I'm trying to remember exactly which one it is that's Christmas, because there's a couple of Christmas episodes, I think, and I'm
There's
just like,
the one with Art Carney and the Santa suit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know
Oh,
what it's called,
yeah.
but I love that one. That was
It's
That one's
really.
Night of the
Night of the
Meek,
Meek
I
is what
think.
it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know who wrote it?
Remember
Anybody?
who wrote that one?
I just
Okay.
remember thinking Twilight Zone is something that I always see around New Year's, because for some reason sci-fi always runs a
marathon.
Twilight-
Yeah.
Mhm.
runs a Twilight Zone New Year's marathon. So of course, I associate getting through Christmas with getting to New Year's. I work in tourism. The hardest week of the entire
Yeah.
year is the week between
Wow.
Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
Getting to New Year's is like, oh my God, I made it.
I wrote a mystery story set between Christmas and New Year's, and the recurring theme was they couldn't get anything done because everyone was on vacation.
Derek, how about you? What's that TV episode?
All right. This is not going to be the fun watch, unfortunately, but if you want something that's really horrific and relentlessly grim, you need the White Christmas episode of Black Mirror.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Mm.
It is where you have these two guys in a cabin, and John Hamm is trying to get, I think his name's Rafi Spall, to confess some evil thing that occurred during a Christmas holiday. It is harrowing, and if you have that little shred of humanity, you know, that little hope for humanity, that's going to be gone in 60 minutes.
Nice.
What's it called again?
Sounds perfect.
White
it's
Christmas.
yeah.
It's the Black Mirror episode. John
Okay.
Hamm is the star of it.
Oh, nice.
And just for a purely self-serving, the Creep Show Halloween holiday special on Shudder. I am one of the Santas, so I'm very
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love that.
I am a sword wielding Santa as we
So cool.
No way.
yes we
That's
crash
I
through
love
the,
it.
That's beautiful.
and then get murdered. Yeah, so
yeah.
Perfect.
Even more fun.
yeah,
Dead Santa number 3.
that was incredibly fun. There were like 20 of us. It was incredibly fun. It looked like a beautiful winter wonderland. It was 90 degrees.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We
you
were
get that
hot,
lumpy
we were-
snow.
Yeah, but the team that put that together, that decorated the outside of that building, it looked cold,
Mm.
but yeah, absolutely a wonderful day of filming though. But yeah,
Lucienne, how about you? What is that TV episode?
Well, let's see. I have like, see, I wanted everybody said what I already wanted to say, but there is one I don't think has been said, and it's the Anatomy Park.
Oh yeah, Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's have
How
a
about
human Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Christmas,
Yeah.
Gary.
Yeah. Christmas.
Love that episode.
I will tell you, for me, from a standpoint, and I think it is the Futurama ones, but the first
Yes.
time they introduce, the
Robot
first
Santa.
Mhm. Robot Santa,
Yes.
he's gonna blow your ass away. I mean,
Yeah.
I love him. He's great.
Yeah.
so
Merry
Hansi,
Christmas.
it is your time. You get to squeak. Favorite holiday movie?
Any holiday?
Well, all right, fine. That's your gift. Any holiday, whatever you want, go for it.
Any holiday. It's not a horror film, but Spirit of 76 for July 4th. It's just this weird, crazy, freaking fucking movie. And it's written by Roman Coppola and somebody else famous son, and Reiner's son, and Devo's in it. And they're in the future where everything's been degaused, so they have no history left. The great degaussing. And so they send David, whoever was in the Partridge Family, David whatever, Cassidy, yes, back in time with two people from the future to get the Constitution, but they end up in 1976 instead of 1776. So they're like asking people about the Constitution. Everyone's like teaching them like English. It's just, and they come back with the Constitution on the shirt because it was the bicentennial in 76.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so that's my favorite holiday. Oh, and Harvey for Easter, my two favorite holiday movies.
No Krampus. You've been pushing Krampus for an hour.
I have a short attention span, squirrel.
Wayland, you're up.
Gremlins is up there.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if you're talking just holiday movies in general, then I will continue the debate people seem to have every year and say Die Hard.
Christmas movie. Totally.
Absolutely a Christmas movie.
Goes without saying.
Yep.
I think those two would be up there. Although in holidays in general, I think the movie adaptation they did of Stephen King's Silver Bullet was set like on 4th of July, I think, pretty much. And that was a great little movie.
So Tim, it's up to you.
I remember seeing Gremlins in the theater and when it came out, and nobody understood how much of a joke it was. And when Phoebe Cates is telling the story or about like her dad dying and trying to pretend to be Santa or whatever, he died in the chimney.
Yep.
I'm the only person roaring with laughter in the theater because at that point I'm like, I understand this movie now. So that's like one of my absolute favorites. Rare Exports is awesome. I love that movie.
That's great.
Oh, Rare Exports is amazing.
Yeah, I love that movie. So I'd probably, I guess I'd pick that one as my favorite maybe. But like for Easter, I'd pick Here Comes Peter Cottontail because Vincent Price gets to be Irontail, the evil bunny. So that was awesome.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Kelley?
Oh gosh, for I don't know, like I have like for me like Halloween's every day over here, so like it's
much,
like
yeah.
Yes.
you know I'm full up on Halloween and everything else. I'm like but I mean we watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation every year. I think the scene where he gets trapped in the attic and nobody's coming home and he's just confronting like the sad reality of life because he's left all these Christmas presents up there and just kind of realizing he's kind of a terrible parent sometimes. Like that's a good scene. There's I don't know, I think that's kind of what I'm gonna have to go with because there's like just so many things to watch. I think there's kind of a glut of like that particular holiday movie. So, and there's so many, you could probably make like a huge stack of them. Gremlins is definitely up there for us. Nightmare Before Christmas, those kind of things. So yeah, you got little kids over, so we can only do so much. All the really spooky stuff we have to kind of, keep for like when you're not with the whole family or later at night when they go to sleep, which is go to sleep. You know what I mean? So
it was funny. My grandson had finally seen Home Alone. And my reaction was always like, God, the crooks are stupid. His reaction was like, oh, that kid's so smart. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. He's looking at it from a 9-year-old perspective, It's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, Home Alone is every year. And then we watch the there's I forget which YouTube channel did it, but it's like analyzing the actual injuries that Harry and Marv would suffer and like how horribly they would have died at various points. So we watched the Home Alone movie, like the first one, then we watched that. We watch the second one, then we watch that, and then it's fun to, okay, so at which point would they be in the most trauma and pain and quickest death? So yeah.
Alledria?
The original Addams Family, having
Yeah.
them when
Yes.
they pour the vat on the carolers at the beginning. It's great. I am so glad they don't do that in my neighborhood, because I would feel the need to egg somebody.
Derek?
All right. Well, I have a few. If we're talking Christmas horror movies, I'm going with the prototype for slashers, and I'm dealing with Bob Clark's Black Christmas.
Yes.
Oh,
Easily
yeah.
Yes.
done.
Oh yeah.
It is actually really, even to this day, still remarkably effective.
Yeah.
As far as some associational Christmas stuff, the scene in On Her Majesty's Secret Service where Bond is running from Blofeld's people in a Swiss town has a real giallo feel to it. So I've always kind of admired that. And I can talk Die Hard and The Thin Man as being Christmas movies all day.
Oh, I love The Thin Man.
Absolutely. Oh, that's a favorite. And if
He's
we're going
shooting the balls off the tree.
exactly. Oh God, that is so great. So great. And then for after Christmas or other holidays, look, we haven't talked about Jaws as being a 4th of July horror movie.
Right.
The key piece is on the beach
Absolutely.
on the 4th.
Yep. We watch that every 4th of July.
Yeah.
And if we're going to the beach, that's what we watch before we go. Like or when you get there.
It's
Jaws
just
is
the
the
law.
inaugural.
It's just the law.
Yeah, you have to. It's very important.
Lucienne?
Okay, so Rare Exports was one of my picks, and Black Christmas, of course, because John Carpenter basically watched Black Christmas and said, I'm going to make Halloween. And no, my personal favorite, and I don't know if anybody else has seen this one, all the creatures were stirring. It's a 2018 film. I adore
That was very
it.
good.
The Cronenberg type, just wonderful. The anthology that's interconnected, and everybody is so, this like David Lynch and Cronenberg had this baby who directed this film, and it just absolutely wonderful to me. Just I'll watch that one over and over again. And of course, Addams Family.
Bobby?
Well, I mean, certainly the movies set at Christmas, like your Die Hards or your Lethal Weapon or Batman Returns or Home Alone, those are all fun. I saw one a couple of years ago called Fat Man, where Mel Gibson is playing Santa, and Walton Goggins is the hitman that this spoiled rich kid who gets a lump of coal hires to take out Santa.
Oh, I gotta find that.
It is, it is. It's on one of the streaming services. I want to say Netflix, but it's on one of them. It's absolutely hilarious watching all of this go down. And and he's not your jolly ho 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 type of Santa, as it's Mel Gibson, so you wouldn't expect that. But it's really good. Yeah, it's really good. And so that would be a pick. And I will second what Derek said, because Jaws is like one of my all-time favorite movies anyway. But the fact that it is a 4th of July movie is it's a staple here. I know what I'll be doing the night of the 4th every year, and that's watching that movie.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw one quick question out there for whoever wants to take a shot at it. And it's this idea of, why do we love horror so much as we go into those holidays? As we come into this time of year when the veil is getting thinner, obviously we've got a legacy of, are we going to survive the winter or not? But, why do we think we still love horror so much this time of year?
Well, after that family get together, we want
It's like
something
therapy,
it's
man.
like a palate cleanser. Yeah.
Yes.
Something to calm us down, and watching a lot of people die horribly generally does the trick.
definitely helpful, very
Well,
cathartic.
it's
Yeah.
one of those ones where you kind of want to you're envisioning people that you know being the victim as well.
Well, that's just why
Or
I
is
write.
it just my family?
Let's just say you're not alone.
I mean,
think-
I
yeah.
get along pretty well with my wife's family, and I've mended most of the fences with, with my side of the family. Of course, a good number of them are dead now, so that sort of helps that. But having said all of that, a lot of it's just, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to throw something on there that's outrageous and goofy. My mom found Rare Exports recently, and she just said, "This is my new Christmas movie."
Yes.
And I didn't even mention it to her. So
Brilliant.
so I think that's part of it.
Ours is still Bad Santa. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie. So hilarious.
I mentioned it before we started recording, but this upcoming Violent Night movie with David Harbour looks like it's going to be a hysterical Christmas movie.
Yeah, I am so in for that. Absolutely.
I got to go catch that.
There are also movies that are not holiday movies, but I've over the years associated them
Absolutely.
with holidays because
Sure.
certainly before the advent of streaming services,
Yeah.
Christmas Day to me meant the Star Wars movies were going to be on TNT.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Star Wars and Christmas were very linked together for me
Yeah.
for that reason.
I said we would exclude the Life Day special.
Well, I didn't mention it.
yeah.
I mentioned the movies. This is when there were only 3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the rest of the horrors happened. Yes.
I think there's also a therapeutic element to those horror movies. When I was running group therapy at the hospital I was working at, Christmas was actually, sadly, one of our most packed holidays. People get extraordinarily depressed and lonely, isolated. And I think that horror deals with those themes in a healthy way.
Yeah.
It's also a very stressful time. I
Yeah.
mean, regardless,
It is
even if you're in a very,
Yes.
I mean,
And
just
people are expected to be happy and cheery
Yeah.
and upbeat all the time. And it's ridiculous to expect that from people.
That's why we
Yes.
all like Halloween better. 'Cause it's just
Exactly.
like-
It's okay to
Well,
be scary.
Yeah,
And
and
I
I
wanna
also
say-
think there's
Go
this
ahead, please.
reality of like every year you're like the more Christmases you see, the more you start to have that existential. Okay, I've seen a lot of these now. Okay, am I running out of them? That kind of a thing. And so
Yeah.
we have to face that every year. Plus, we're losing sunlight in a lot of parts of the world, and so then you start to like there's less dopamine that you're getting. I have seasonal affective
Yes.
disorder, so
Me too. It's already
um,
been acting up because
Yeah.
last couple days I've just felt like sleeping and eating.
yeah, and so it's
Mine-
just like that's
mine
kind
kicked
of a
Monday.
thing that starts to happen. I think that has something to do with it.
no,
Oh, and add to the
and not
fact-
to mention oh my God, there's going to be all these people in my house.
House.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Or that you have to travel. That's also
Mhm.
another
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Traveling is stressful. All that. Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, Derek. I think I interrupted you there. Sorry.
No,
about that.
no. I wanted to hear what everybody else was saying. But the only other thing I was going to add was that, first of all, traditionally, this is the season of, Christmas is the season of ghost stories. So, that
Yeah.
that becomes a major
Yeah.
factor. Add to this, when you think about how many horror movies are set in winter or fall,
Mhm.
where, there is a very
It's true.
definite chill in the air. The
Yes.
the light, as
Dying of the light.
the light looks different.
Yeah.
The leaves look different. What
Yes.
was, a full tree now has these, branches that look like, elongated, craggy fingers.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
see a lot of that. I think you notice a lot of that as well.
Yeah. And also like you're meeting up with a bunch of people every year in a lot of cases, and then you start to realize who's not there anymore.
Yes.
And that's another thing. In my family, everyone sits around and talks about like family stories and stuff, and it's that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was one thing my mother said before she died was Christmas is becoming so small. And she didn't mean presents, she meant people.
Mhm.
Mm,
It just her world was shrinking. And, you know, before she knew it, there were only a few people there for Christmas. And it, you know, you get to that whole, like Kelley had said, that existential,
Mhm.
you know, how many more Christmases do I have left? And how do I
Yeah.
make the most of them? And some people aren't able to meet that anymore.
Yeah.
It can also just be difficult if you have anxiety and, you know,
True. Yes.
social anxiety and
Social
stuff,
anxiety,
and
for
then you're
sure.
like thrown into this family situation with people you only see once a year. It can be
And all
really-
those expectations. Yes.
And the nosy questions.
Yes.
Nope.
and nobody
Also
asks me anything because they
financial
don't want to know.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of financial problems that happen around this time of
Yes.
year too,
Yeah.
because people put themselves in debt because they want everything to be perfect because that's what we're expected to do. And
Mhm.
that's a whole other thing because,
Yes.
you know,
Any given year, there's a 50-50 chance I'm actually on duty either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And the stuff we see, the stuff that rolls in at
Yeah.
booking, the calls we have to go on,
Yes.
jeez.
Yeah.
Well, now that
not
we're going to
bad.
end, now that we're going to end on a cheerful note,
That's what we do.
before we end this silent night, deadly night that no one mentioned, let's make sure everybody knows where to find you guys, social media, websites, and of course, for your Tim, you've got that holiday book to push.
Mhm.
So Kelley, you're up first.
you can find me at morbidsmile.com. I'm on all the social medias. If you Google Morbid Smile Art, you will probably find me. And I have all kinds of stuff available, including commission slots through Ko-Fi. So
Alledria.
AlledriaHurt.com, Alledria E. Hurt on Facebook or Instagram, and Our Lady of Ashes on Twitter, even though I'm not there very often anymore.
Derek.
I'm on DerekAustinJohnson.com. I have a Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I believe it's DAJ42. I'm also on TikTok at Derek Austin Johnson.
Lucienne.
I'm Lucienne LeBeau. You can find me at silverhollowstories.com. On Twitter, I am Spellvira, and Lucienne LeBeau, author on Facebook.
Bobby.
BobbyNash.com is my website. I'm author Bobby Nash on Facebook, Bobby Nash Writes on Instagram, at Bobby Nash on Twitter. I'm all over the place. You can find me.
Hansi.
I'm Hansi Oppenheimer, and my company is Squee Projects. It's SQUEE, like Squee. And I'm pretty much under that Squee Projects on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest.
Wayland.
I'm on Twitter at Wayland Smith 1. I still want to find out who beat me to that one. Search
Who
me on
is that?
Facebook and you find an avatar with a German Shepherd head. That's me. I have a Instagram account that I occasionally remember to post things to. And I review all of the superhero TV shows and movies on a site called comicbookclog.com.
And Tim.
Yeah, just go to timwagner.com because it has links to everything else. So
And I've had the pleasure of being and ducking all the bladed objects and stuff being thrown at me tonight. I've been your host, Jim Nettles. You can find me at jamespnettles.com, authoressentials.net, authoressentialsworkshops.com, the speculative fiction academy.com, and of course here at ConTinual. And we will see everybody again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.